Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from Breitbart. This is dated April 24th, and it's from John Nolte. Again, I've always talked about, not always, but I've talked about my affection for John Nolte's articles. So that's why I wanted to read this, and given that this is very pertinent to what is going on today, it seemed to be worth talking about. So the article is called Elite Universities Breed the New, World War II Funny Mustache Guy Youth. And I'm not going to say that word right now just because the algorithm might ding this, even though I'm not saying it in anything like a positive way, and nor would I ever. But let's just go ahead and get through it. It says, what we're seeing across America's elite academic institutions is something the Western world has not seen since 1930s Germany. An open, naked, toxic, violent, seething, and uncompromising hatred of the Jews. Worse, we are seeing a mainstream acceptance of that hatred. And yeah, this is like one of those things where, I've said before in other videos that I hate that World War II analogies seem to be overused, especially by people on the far left that refer to everything and everybody that they don't like as Nazi. Again, spelling it out for the algorithm not to be stupid and ding me or something. As I go on, I'll probably end up saying the couple of the words that I've already said I wasn't going to say, but it's a little different because once you get into the video, it should be okay to say. But yeah, I mean, I see this on there, and and I've mentioned before, I am Jewish, and I see this stuff, and I'm just like, it boggles my mind, and I obviously don't know what it was like in the 1930s, but is this something like what it was back then? I mean, I guess it was, and I think maybe the comparisons to the 1930s at this point are probably appropriate, but let's keep going here and see what it says. It says, through compulsory youth camps, Adolf, we'll just call him that for now, did in the 1930s what elite universities are doing today, creating Jew-hating totalitarians. Jews were excluded from the, a funny mustache guy youth camps. Today, as we see everywhere, disgraced universities like MIT, Columbia, NYU, Harvard, etc. might not openly reject Jews on campus. Still, the student bodies, much of the faculty, the anti-Jewish curricula, and the administrations tolerating venomous anti-Jewish hate protests have all sent a clear message. Jews not welcome. Yeah, I mean, you see like in all these little camps that they have set up and everything that they have. There was one that was, I just saw the other day, it said, like, it brought up the final solution someone had aside, and it was like, oh, you want to get more anti-Semitic than that? I mean, Jesus Christ, like, what the hell? But let's see here what it says. Here's how Wikipedia, which is always a bastion of truth, but it says here's how Wikipedia accurately describes the doctrine of those funny mustache guys' youth. And before I go into this, think about, as I'm reading this to you, how this may compare to what is going on today. Don't just think about this in terms of the way it was back then. Just go with, okay, let's compare this to how things are right now at these universities. So it says, the members of the funny mustache guy youth were indoctrinated in Nazi ideology, including racism. The boys were indoctrinated with the myths of Aryan racial superiority and to view Jews and Slavs as subhumans. Members were taught to associate state-identified enemies such as Jews with Germany's previous defeat in the First World War and societal decline. The funny mustache guys' youth were used to break up church youth groups, spy on religious classes and Bible studies, and interfere with church attendance. Education and training programs for the funny mustache guys' youth were designed to undermine the values of traditional structures of German society. Their training also aimed to remove social and intellectual distinctions between classes, to be replaced and dominated by the political goals of the funny mustache guys' totalitarian dictatorship. Sacrifice for the Nazi cause was instilled into their training. The funny mustache guys' youth appropriated many of the activities of the Boy Scout movement, which was banned in 1935. That's a great comparison, and there's a picture from it. So it says, disband the Boy Scouts. Sound familiar? Use these little thugs to disrupt traditional religious instruction. Sound familiar? View the Jews as enemies and the cause of the world's problems. Sound familiar? Above all, if you replace funny mustache guy and Nazi in that description with an all-powerful totalitarian federal government, it's all right there. And remember, it only starts with the Jews. These fascists, and that's the correct way to use it here, bullies have made no secret of their desire to ethnically cleanse America and the rest of the world under the euphemism of decolonization. That's true. If anybody's out there that's heard that term being used and you don't know what it means because it's not like a normal word, it's only a word that seems to be used in like elite leftist circles, Probably should go look and see what that is because it is nothing good. It says the Nazis politicized absolutely everything. Democrats and the organized left in the corporate media, entertainment, education, and academia have politicized absolutely everything, and this is what you get. Hate will always be a part of the human experience. Anti-Semitism will always be around. That's nothing new. What is new, especially in America, is the mainstreaming and normalization of this hatred. Elite universities teach it. The corporate media wield brazen lies to inflame, excuse, or ignore it. Hollywood accepts it. Joe Biden, the sitting U.S. president, asks us to sympathize with and understand the new funny mustache guy youth. At the same time, he undermines the Jewish state during a defensive war started by Islamic barbarians who paraglided into Israel to grape, butcher, kidnap, and desecrate more than 1,000 innocent Jewish men, women, and children, including babies and the elderly. As Biden relentlessly attacks Israel and never mentions the kidnap victims still held by Hamas. Yeah, I don't know why that never comes up. In these, even with these protests at college campuses, like how come you're not mentioning all of the hostages that they still have, especially American hostages, like, you know, your fellow countrymen? It's because you're taught to hate your country and you're okay with those people dying. That's basically it. Let's keep going here. It says, because I am not an alarmist, most especially a racial alarmist, the following I do not say lightly. This is a terrifying time to be a Jew, maybe the most terrifying in recent history. Yeah, I kind of stopped there because I had a thought. I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I don't feel fearful of anything, but I see this stuff going on, and I'm like, how long before something happens? You know? Like, it's kind of almost at this point, like, I'm just kind of waiting for it. Is something going to happen to me? Because I don't know, but perish that thought for now and rather just, live day by day and go from there. It says, many feared that it's like the 1930s where age-old ignorance and hatred resurfaced, a precursor to the murder of 6 million Jews, writes Martin Fletcher in the Times of Israel. It isn't. It's worse. In the mid-1930s, the sleeping curse of Jew hatred was awakening in Germany alone, he adds. Today, Jews are afraid in Australia, South Africa, all over Europe, as the useful idiots march, curse, and verbally and sometimes physically abuse innocent Jews in the name of protecting Palestinians. And then I think that just goes to show how the Palestinian propaganda machine has actually worked, is that these folks all believe that there's like a genocide going on there, which there by absolutely no evidence proves that there is one happening. Like everything works against these people, but they're in a cult. They can't be convinced that that stuff is not going on. And there was even a video that came out the other day. Go look this up. There was a girl that was asked, like, why are you guys protesting? And she honestly was like, I don't know. She's like, I don't know what we're doing here. And she asked another person, like, what is this for? And they're like, I don't know. It was something to that effect. And it was like, you guys are just here. Like, what? You know? And I hope that girl sees the fact that everybody's making fun of her and realizes, like, oh, wait, I'm just following everybody else because I can't think for myself. That's your college kids these days, incapable of thinking for themselves. So let's keep going here. It says, today, everywhere, Jews ask themselves the generational question, where can we be safe? Where do they not hate us? And, well, that's kind of why Israel exists. As he continues, where are the demonstrations against the killers and their useful idiots who preach hatred and fear? If they, those who some Jews say don't hate us, are the silent majority, is it not time to speak out, to voice the rejection of murder and grape? So remember the national freakout after the Tiki Torch disaster in Charlottesville? The very same people, academia, corporate media, Democrats, and entertainment, who turned that into the second coming of the Third Reich under Trump and then lied about Trump, claiming he said Nazis are very fine people, are right now watching Charlottesville after Charlottesville spring up at left-wing universities and in left-wing cities everywhere, and then actually try to gaslight us with the equivalent of there are very fine people on both sides, which, no, it's about to go into it. I was about to say which Biden said, but here's his quote. Biden said, I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I don't know what effing program he's talking about. It says, I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. So he pulled the very fine people on both sides thing. And the article concludes with, we've never seen anything like this. And now the age-old question of how something like the Holocaust was allowed to happen has been answered. And that's a kind of a powerful line there, in my opinion. But, yeah, I mean, like I've said, you just see this stuff happening and you're like, you realize, oh, this is how it all started, huh? And the people that should be the ones stamping it out, like, you know, the professors and whatnot, are the people that are helping it along. You see that there's professors that are a part of all this and being arrested too because of it. I just don't know where where it stops, where, because especially too, because the whole presidential administration agrees for the most part with all this. You've got terror sympathizers in, the administration right now. So how does this stop? How does this stop escalating? I honest to God, don't know. I wish I had an answer. But before I keep rambling on about it, let me know what you think about this. I mean, do you agree that the universities are, it's kind of equivalent to these two words right here, the funny mustache man's youth? Let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.